Okay, this is chapter 2, section 3. Islam comes to Africa. This should be part 1. About around 700 CE, a new culture would come out of Egypt and Arabia that's going to leave a huge impact on Eastern Africa. It was on the basis of a new religion that this was founded. And this religion was called Islam. And Islam is based on the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad. It began to spread from Arabian Peninsula to Egypt in around 700 CE. From there, merchants carried Islam as well as Arabic, the language they spoke, down the coast of East Africa. City-states such as Mogadishu, which is in modern-day Somalia, and Zanzibar, which is an island off the coast of Tanzania, they soon began to experience major cultural changes. Many Africans adopted Islam as their main religion and began wearing Islamic attire. Whole new languages were formed as Arabic and native Bantu languages merged and became a single language called Swahili. In fact, the word Swahili comes from the Arabic word meaning on the coast. Today, about 80 million Africans speak Swahili, one of the main languages in East Africa. Nearly half of all East Africans practice the religion of Islam. Along the coast of East Africa, in modern-day Kenya, Tanzania, and Mozambique, there exist grand cities that grew wealthy and powerful from trading with Asia. These cities were a part of a vast trading network that connected East Africa with the Middle East, India, and China. Arab dhows and Chinese junks, boats, would catch the monsoon winds back and forth across the Indian Ocean, keeping trade alive between Africa and Asia. East Africa lies in proximity to the Middle East. About 1,000 nautical miles separates the African coast to Tanzania from Yemen and the Middle East. Arab dhows caught the monsoon winds that blew from India in the summer to sail south along the coast of East Africa, stopping at every major port along the way. After their cargoes were full of rare African goods, they would catch the winter monsoon winds to head north again to sell them in the cities of Egypt and Arabia, and from there they would sail east to the ports of India and to China. This trade continues even today, even though the trade goods have changed, the routes are pretty much the same. Geography had a big hand in the creation of the city-states of Zanzibar and the Swahili coast. Eastern and southern Africa are covered in tropical savanna, which has some of the continent's richest farmland. Farmers here harvested cash crops such as cocoa, coffee, coconuts, and cloves, which is a spice used for preserving meat. These were harvested and sold to Arab merchants. In addition to exotic foods, Africa also possessed large amounts of valuable natural resources such as gold, ivory, and animal skins, and even copper. However, East Africa was also famous for another mere insidious commodity. When you hear the word slave trade, most people instantly think of the Europeans hauling away African villagers in chains to work on plantations in the Americas. This is true, but what most people don't know is that African slave trade had been going on centuries before the colonization of the Americas in the 1600s. Arabian merchants made huge profits by buying slaves from African traders and transporting them back to the Middle East and along the Arabian Sea. Africans were brought and sold in slave markets to work as house servants for some wealthy family. However, unlike the European slave trade, Africans who converted to Islam often had to be freed.